The heavy oak doors of the Sonoma estate swung open with a creak that echoed through the quiet afternoon, and they poured in like shadows lengthening at dusk. My father's voice carried first, sharp and entitled, directing movers toward the study while my stepmother Karen already ran her fingers along the polished walnut banister as if measuring it for her own home. My half-brother Ethan trailed behind, phone in hand snapping photos of the antique wine racks, and my cousin Brooke lingered by the fireplace, her eyes calculating the value of the original landscape paintings Uncle Victor had collected over decades. It was the day after the funeral, and the vultures had arrived to claim what they believed was theirs. The $2.2 million Bennett family vineyards estate, rolling hills of Cabernet Sauvignon, the restored Victorian tasting room, the private cellar stocked with vintages dating back to the 1970s, everything they had ignored while Uncle Victor was alive now seemed ripe for the taking. I stood in the foyer, heart pounding but voice steady, watching them move through the house that had been my sanctuary since I was 4 years old. My name is Sophia Bennett, 29 years old, a junior associate at a boutique firm in San Francisco specializing in business contracts and estate matters. My work is methodical, often unglamorous, reviewing clauses late into the night, mediating disputes between local wineries, but it has taught me that the law is not just rules on paper, it's a shield for those who understand its quiet power. Growing up surrounded by the scent of fermenting grapes and morning mist over the vineyards taught me something similar: patience, integrity, and the long game. I wasn't supposed to be here. My biological parents, Derek and Karen Bennett, had other plans when I was small. Derek, Uncle Victor's younger brother, chased one speculative venture after another: tech startups that fizzled, real estate deals that skirted legality, even a brief foray into cryptocurrency before it became mainstream. Karen matched his ambition with her own hunger for status, always dressed a little too flashy for our modest beginnings. When I was barely 3, they left me with Uncle Victor just for the summer while they pursued opportunities in Las Vegas. Summer stretched into years. They sent cards at first, then nothing. I learned later they had Ethan when I was 7, raising him in their whirlwind of half-finished schemes and sudden moves. Uncle Victor became my world instead. A tall man with calloused hands from years in the vineyards and a quiet laugh that could fill a room. He had taken over the family operation after our grandparents passed. What started as a small plot became one of Sonoma's respected mid-sized producers through careful stewardship, not flash. He taught me to walk the rows at dawn, checking for pests or signs of stress in the vines, explaining that true value came from consistent care, not quick harvests. The land remembers. Sophia, he'd say, his voice low and steady. It knows who's patient and who's greedy. Those words took on new weight as I grew older and watched my biological family return sporadically, not out of affection, but necessity. Derek would show up around holidays, pitching sure things that required just a small loan from Victor. Karen would admire the silverware or the Persian rugs, dropping hints about how unfair it was for Victor to live alone in such space while they squeezed into rentals. Ethan absorbed their ways early, always asking for the latest gadget or trip, framing it as family support. Brooke, Karen's niece who lived with them off and on, perfected dramatic crises, lost scholarships, sudden medical needs that somehow always circled back to needing Victor's checkbook. I remember one Thanksgiving when I was 16. Derek cornered Victor in the study after dinner, voice rising. "Vic, it's just 50 grand. This import deal is solid. I'll triple it in a year." Victor's reply was calm, but final. "Derek, I've covered your shortfalls for years. The answer is no." Derek exploded, accusing Victor of hoarding the family legacy. I stood in the hallway, unseen, hearing Victor's quiet counter. "Legacy isn't money handed out. It's raising Sophia when you wouldn't. It's showing up every day." That night, Victor found me in the kitchen and pulled me into a hug. Family isn't blood, Sophia. It's the people who stay through the hard seasons. He supported my dream of law school without hesitation. After witnessing a neighbor lose her small orchard to predatory lending, I wanted to understand how to protect what mattered. Victor paid my tuition, attended every graduation, and framed my bar certificate beside his own awards from the California Wine Institute. Meanwhile, my biological family drifted further. Derek's businesses collapsed one by one. Karen grew resentful. Ethan bounced between gigs without direction. And Brooke chased social media validation through staged family posts. The diagnosis arrived like a sudden frost in spring. Pancreatic cancer. Stage 3. Victor told me over coffee at the kitchen table where we'd shared countless meals. His fingers tracing the wood grain. 6 to 8 months. Perhaps longer with treatment. His eyes held steady. But I saw the flicker of worry. Not for himself, but for the legacy he'd built and the daughter he'd chosen. Within weeks, the calls started. Derek offered to help manage affairs. Karen sent gourmet baskets store-bought. I noticed. Ethan visited more, asking casual questions about the will. Brooke posted touching tributes online, tagging the estate address. Their concern felt rehearsed, theatrical, and beneath it, the greed simmered. One humid July evening, I stepped onto the back patio for air while Victor rested upstairs. Their voices drifted from the side porch. Derek, Karen, Ethan, and Brooke huddled together. The chemo's making him foggy, Derek muttered. If we get him to sign while he's out of it. Power of attorney. Updated will. The whole thing transfers clean. Karen's laugh was low and hungry. The estate alone. The vines. The cellar, over $2 million easy. We finally live right. Ethan chimed in. Sophia? She's not blood. Just the stray Vic took in. No claim. Brooke added. I've got blank forms ready. We time visits for peak medication. My stomach turned as I quietly recorded every word on my phone, capturing their meticulous plot to exploit a dying man. They discussed forging signatures, bribing aides, rushing a sale. The betrayal burned, but it also clarified everything Victor had tried to shield me from. The next morning, I drove to San Francisco to meet Elena Vargas, Victor's longtime estate attorney and a sharp strategist. Playing the recording, I watched her expression harden. We move now, she said. Victor's still competent. We build an unbreakable defense. That afternoon, sitting with Victor as Elena explained the irrevocable trust option, he listened quietly, pain etching his face deeper than the cancer. I knew they were opportunistic, he whispered, but planning this while I breathe, using my illness. Tears welled for the first time I could remember. I gripped his hand. You protected me my whole life. Let me protect you now. Victor straightened, summoning the resolve that had built the vineyards. Do it. They want dirty? They'll learn Sophia inherited more than the estate. She inherited the spine to defend it. Elena Vargas worked with surgical precision over the following days. The irrevocable trust would transfer all assets, vineyard land, tasting room, cellar inventory, investment accounts exceeding $800,000. The restored 1968 Mustang Victor had babied for years into the structure immediately, while granting Victor lifetime use and control. Upon his passing, everything passed directly to me, bypassing probate and shielding against challenges. To bulletproof it, we documented relentlessly, video statements from Victor affirming his clear intent and sound mind, medical affidavits confirming cognitive capacity, psychiatric evaluation by a respected specialist, multiple witnesses from Elena's firm, even a clause penalizing unsuccessful contests with full legal fees. Victor participated fully, his voice steady despite fatigue. Victor Bennett, of sound mind, established this trust for Sophia Bennett, who has been my daughter in every meaningful way for 25 years. This reflects my free choice, not coercion. We filmed it all, cataloged every asset with appraisals and photographs. Elena added provisions addressing potential claims of undue influence. This is as ironclad as it gets, she assured us. They'll break themselves trying to crack it. We kept the trust secret. Victor continued tolerating the visits, feigning increasing confusion, mixing names, repeating questions to draw them out. They grew bolder. Derek rifled through desk drawers one afternoon while Victor napped, claiming to organize papers. I caught him photographing the blank forms and practice signatures he tried to conceal. Ethan photographed valuables for his memory book. Karen brought estate planners, actually unqualified relatives. Brooke live-streamed subtle tours of the house. Victor secretly recorded conversations using the secure app one showed him, capturing Derek boasting about blood rights, Karen planning antique sales, Ethan joking about finally getting what Sophia's been hoarding. One evening, reviewing a new recording, Victor squeezed my hand weakly. I'm not angry anymore. For years, I felt guilty favoring you. Now I see it wasn't choosing between relatives. It was love versus greed. You loved me. They loved the possibility of my money. His words hung heavy, a quiet acknowledgement of the emotional distance he'd maintained too long with his brother. As August deepened and Victor weakened, the tension coiled tighter. Their schemes escalated, hints about getting affairs in order, timed visits, even researching nurses. Yet Victor's facade held, buying us time. The trust sat secure in Elena's office safe, a silent countermeasure to every forgery and plot they hatched. Victor passed peacefully one Thursday morning in early September, his hand in mine, the vineyards visible through the window he loved. His final words echoed his lifelong wisdom. Sophia, you owe them nothing, not guilt, not inheritance. Both are yours to steward. The funeral reflected the man. Simple service at the local chapel. Jazz trio playing his favorites. Filled with neighbors, winery staff, literacy program kids he'd quietly mentored, and colleagues who valued his integrity. Genuine grief filled the room. My biological family arrived late in a rented luxury SUV. Karen in a designer black dress with tags still attached, dabbing dry eyes. Derek delivered a eulogy rewriting history, claiming constant devotion. Ethan live-streamed parts with crying emojis. Brooke posed for selfies near the casket, captioning about family first. They avoided me entirely, already mentally erasing my presence. At the reception in the estate's tasting room, they worked the crowd, announcing they'd handle the estate as next of kin. Derek cornered Victor's banker for account details. Brooke posted house photos online, honoring Uncle Vic from his beautiful home. That weekend they arrived with a moving truck, locksmith, and a questionable family lawyer. We're organizing, Derek announced, pushing past me. No need to wait. Karen added sweetly. As blood relatives, the estate is Derek's now. Pack your things. They handed me an eviction notice and a forged will dated weeks earlier, supposedly signed by Victor, leaving everything to Derek and family. The signature was a fair imitation but missed Victor's distinctive wrist injury loop. Witnesses were unknown names. The notary had a revoked license. Bobby, Victor realized blood matters, Derek said smoothly. Leave by tomorrow or we call authorities. They strutted through rooms, inventorying, directing movers. I asked for time to pack. Derek granted 24 hours magnanimously. As the truck left empty, but scheduled to return, I prepared. Neighbors Derek had invited to witness their triumph now provided perfect observers for what would unfold. The next morning dawned overcast and humid, typical for September in Sonoma. I had coordinated with Elena overnight. At 11:45, I watched from the window as the procession arrived. Derek's rented SUV, the moving truck, Karen and Brooke with assorted relatives, and a realtor carrying a for sale sign. Half a dozen people who'd never visited before materialized for the division of spoils. But preparations were in place. Elena's car sat across the street. 2 sheriff's deputies stood by their cruiser. And Judge Margaret Ellis, a longtime friend of Victor's, had agreed to observe for civility. Neighbors watched from porches, alerted by Derek himself. At noon, Derek pounded the door. "Sophia, time's up. Open or we enter with authorities." I opened calmly, dressed in my sharpest courtroom attire. "Please come in. We have matters to discuss." They surged inside like conquerors. Derek vibrated with triumph. Karen directed movers to the study. Brooke filmed for social media. "Before you touch anything," I said, raising my voice, "meet some people." Elena entered from the kitchen, followed by her team, the deputies, and Judge Ellis. Derek sputtered. "What is this?" Elena handed him a cease and desist order and notice of investigation for fraud, forgery, and elder abuse. "This is absurd," Karen shrieked. "We have a will. Victor left it to us." I held up their forgery. "This one? Notarized by a revoked license holder? Witnesses verified out of state that day." Derek's face strained of color. "You can't prove it." I connected my phone to the speaker system. The July porch recording played, Derek's voice clear, the chemos making him foggy. "Get him to sign when out of it." Karen's interruptions valuing the estate. Ethan's dismissal of me as not real family. Brooke's laughter about claiming what I'd hogged. The room froze. "You recorded us? That's illegal." Karen gasped. Judge Ellis interjected. "California is a one-party consent state for conversations where you're present. What's illegal is conspiracy to defraud a vulnerable adult." Derek shouted. "We're family. She's nobody." Elena smiled coolly. Victor created an irrevocable trust on July 16th. Fully competent per medical and psychiatric certification. Witnessed properly. Assets transferred immediately. Your forged will is meaningless. The estate isn't part of probate. When pressed, I explained. The day after we recorded your plans. He saw everything, every visit, every false tear. He protected what mattered. Brooke's phone dropped. Movers shifted uncomfortably. Karen accused me of manipulation. I played Victor's video statement, his clear voice declaring the trust for me, citing their greed versus my loyalty. Silence fell, broken only by Karen's ragged breathing. Elena continued, "Contesting triggers penalty fees, likely $250,000 you'd lose. Given your recorded confessions, success is impossible." Derek's hands shook as the forgery slipped to the rug. "Get out of my house," I said quietly. Derek threatened it wasn't over, but his voice cracked. Deputy Ramirez stepped forward. "Mr. Bennett, you're coming with us." Forged documents presented as genuine constitute felony charges. The collapse was rapid. Derek's bravado shattered as rights were read. Karen sobbed real tears watching him handcuffed before the neighbors. Ethan and Brooke stood stunned. "Wait," Derek pleaded as officers led him out. "Sophia, we're family. Victor wouldn't want this." I met his eyes steadily. "You're right, he wouldn't. That's why he ensured it couldn't happen. He didn't just safeguard the estate, he shielded me from you and you from your own destruction. Prison may be what finally stops the cycle." Karen started an insult, but Judge Ellis warned against adding charges. Elena presented envelopes, $1 each to Derek, Karen, and Brooke, plus Victor's letter. I knew its contents. He had read it to me. This dollar represents the value you assigned our bond. Transactional. Minimal. Worthless. You were seen for who you are. I forgive you. But forgiveness doesn't mean enabling harm. Find in this what you sought in my death, a mirror of your true worth. Brooke exploded. We visited. Brought soup. Cared. I replied evenly. Store-bought soup and Instagram performances aren't care. Selfies at the casket. Live streaming a theft attempt. That's spectacle. Elena warned against destroying evidence. Screenshots already secured. Most relatives and the realtor had fled. Only the core group remained in the foyer where I'd spent 25 years building a real family with Victor. He would have welcomed you, I said, voice thick with unexpected sadness. Helped. Loved you if once you'd shown up for him. Not his assets. But you couldn't even pretend convincingly. He cried that night we recorded you, not from greed, but realizing his brother viewed him only as a bank. Karen spat dismissively, but Judge Ellis urged restraint. The deputies escorted Derek away. Karen followed in her vehicle, Brooke furiously typing on her phone. Neighbor Mrs. Alvarez approached the steps. You okay, dear? I nodded, accepting the embrace. I will be. Elena gathered documents. They'll likely plead to avoid prison probation. Service. Restraining order. Reputation in Sonoma is ruined. They'll relocate if they want fresh starts. Judge Ellis paused. Victor would be proud. You honored his legacy with intelligence and dignity, not vengeance. As the house quieted, I stood in Victor's study, his chair still shaped to him. The last book opened to a marked passage on family and choice. His marginal note read, They mistake performance for truth, just as some mistake blood for love. Sophia knows the difference. 6 months later, the estate breathes differently. Derek took a plea. 6 months probation. Community service. Restraining order. Karen filed for divorce soon after. Distancing from a scandal. Brooke deleted social accounts after local gossip spread. Last reports place her in retail work, earning independently. No apologies came. They reframed themselves as victims. I graduated law school top of my class, carrying Victor's photo and lessons. Elena offered me a role specializing in elder law and estate protection. My first case helped an elderly client safeguard assets from a long-absent son. The house now hosts real family, Sunday dinners with neighbors, monthly literacy readings for children on the same rugs, one side for sale. Their laughter fills rooms quiet in Victor's final months. Organizing papers. I found Victor's letter dated post-trust. My dearest Sophia, if you're reading this, you've faced the storm I knew approached. I'm sorry I couldn't spare you their greed, but confronting it teaches what matters. Your worth isn't in blood, law, or money. It's in daily choices to be present, to care unconditionally. I wasn't perfect. I enabled Derek too long, confusing guilt with love. You taught me family is built by showing up, staying, protecting fiercely. Use the estate to create the life and chosen family you deserve. Thank you for 25 years as my daughter, not by blood, but by love and choice. The father who chose you. I framed it prominently. A young woman recently called. Her aunt faced relative pressure over property. Can you help? I thought of Victor. Elena. The knowledge passed to me. Yes. Come tomorrow, bring her. We'll protect what's hers. The estate is now more than property, a sanctuary for the vulnerable. A place teaching that family transcends biology. It's about love that arrives, stays, and defends. Some call it luck inheriting millions, but they miss the real inheritance. 25 years of integrity, loyalty, courage to confront greed. Victor was right. Family isn't blood. It's who shows up. He showed up daily from my childhood to adulthood. Through his legacy, I now show up for others. The vultures circled expecting easy prey. Instead, Victor raised not just a daughter, but a guardian. Some inheritances, knowledge, backbone. Chosen bonds can't be forged, stolen, or overturned. They endure in choices to protect loved ones beyond death. That's my true inheritance. That's Victor's enduring gift. Placing the estate in my name wasn't revenge or greed. It honored a man who distinguished relatives from real family and ensured his chosen family would always be safe. The house is quiet tonight, filled with memories and echoes of Victor's saying, which I've expanded. Family isn't who shares your blood. It's who shows up when needed and who you choose to become when they're gone. In the months following, the vineyards themselves seemed to honor Victor's passing. The harvest that fall yielded balanced, complex grapes, fruit of his final careful pruning, reminding me that stewardship outlasts any individual. I walked the rows at dawn as he once did, feeling his presence in the soil and mist. Neighbors like Mrs. Alvarez shared stories over coffee, revealing Victor's quiet generosity, anonymous donations to school programs, advice to struggling growers, steady support during droughts. Their genuine warmth contrasted sharply with the biological family's absence, reinforcing the story's central truth. Legally, the plea deals closed cleanly. Derek's probation included financial literacy classes, ironic given his history. The restraining order brought peace, no further contact attempts. Social fallout in tight-knit Sonoma circles proved lasting. Old acquaintances crossed streets to avoid Karen and Brooke. Ethan kept a low profile, reportedly taking a warehouse job. Their silence spoke volumes. Narcissists rarely confront the mirror we held up. Professionally, my new role at Elena's firm thrived. Cases poured in, elder clients wary of sudden concerned relatives, blended families needing clear trusts. Each consultation echoed my experience, knowledge as armor. Teaching clients to document, communicate intent early, and build evidence became my passion. One client, a retired teacher, said after signing her trust, "You've given me back control and peace." Those words carried Victor's echo. Personally, the estate evolved into a living legacy. Weekly vineyard tours for local school groups now include lessons on integrity alongside winemaking. The tasting room hosts charity events for literacy, laughter of children replacing the tension of final months. I planted a small memorial garden near the patio, roses Victor favored, where I sit evenings reflecting. The letter's words remain central. Family built one choice at a time. I chose Victor daily through presence. He chose me through unwavering support. The biological family chose transactions. The divide wasn't money but values, patience versus shortcuts, care versus performance. Yet questions linger, haunting like evening fog. How many families fracture over estates when early conversations about intent could prevent pain? When does enabling become complicity? What responsibility do we hold for relatives who choose greed? Victor's guilt delayed boundaries. My vigilance protected the legacy. Perhaps the moral is balance, love with limits, forgiveness without naivety. Tonight, as I close the study, the house feels alive with possibility. A young couple from the literacy program visited earlier, dreaming of starting small. I offered mentorship, paying forward Victor's guidance. The cycle continues, not of greed, but of chosen family expanding. The vultures learned too late. Some inheritances are intangible yet unbreakable. Victor's true wealth was the daughter he raised to value presence over possessions, integrity over inheritance. In defending it, I didn't just secure an estate, I affirmed what family truly means. And in quiet moments, I whisper thanks to the man who showed up every day, ensuring I would too. Family isn't blood. It's who shows up and who we become in their absence.